Chapter 9, which I do believe is the last chapter. The disappearing biscuits. Oh. It was only 1 week before school would start again. 1 week left to get in more swimming, playing football and summer fun. 1 week to sleep late in the morning. 1 week left with no homework, no studying, no tests, no report cards. To celebrate the last week of freedom, Einstein's friends decided to have a picnic. The picnic was to be held in Big Lake State Park. The lake in the park was several kilometres long and almost a kilometre wide. Each person was asked to bring some food for everyone to share. Einstein and Margaret volunteered to make some biscuits. Einstein went over to Margaret's house the night before the picnic. Margaret answered the door and took Einstein into the kitchen. The kitchen table was loaded with flour, sugar, milk, chocolate chips, all the ingredients for the biscuits they were going to bake. "Are you going to make the table disappear like you did at Aunt Bess's house?" Einstein asked innocently. Margaret laughed. "I'm not going to make the table disappear," she said, "but unless you start helping me, I'm going to make you disappear." "Okay, let's begin," Einstein said. "It's a good idea to light the oven now before we start to mix the batter. The oven will take a while to heat up." Einstein and Margaret baked 1 batch of chocolate chip cookies, then another batch, then another. By the time they'd finished baking, they had 257 biscuits, enough for every eager eater in the class. Boy, that's a big class, 257. The day dawned cloudy and it looked like rain, but they all decided to go ahead with the picnic anyway. Almost everybody in the class came, even Pat the brat and his sidekick Herman. Before eating, most of the kids went swimming in the lake. Einstein, Margaret and their friends were splashing, throwing frisbees around and having a lot of fun. Pat and Herman were not too happy. They tried to duck Einstein but had not been very successful. He was a much better swimmer than either of them and easily outdistanced them when they got too close. After swimming, Einstein and Margaret sat down to eat. There was a great spread set out on the big picnic table. Fried chicken, cold meat, salads, watermelon and delicious bread. There was even peanut butter sandwiches for those who ate nothing else. They were about to start on the biscuits for dessert when the rain began. The kids dashed out looking for shelter. Einstein and Margaret covered the biscuits with a piece of plastic sheeting to stop them from getting wet. Then they hurried into the building where the changing rooms were. Most of the class was in the building. The boys and girls were talking and laughing, and soon they started a game of charades. Margaret had to act out the film title Alien. She tried to act like a monster, but nobody guessed what she was doing. Einstein thought she was Frankenstein's monster. Someone else said she looked more like Pat going after Einstein in the water. It got darker and darker. It was difficult to see outside in the rain. Then, just as it seemed as if it was going to pour for the rest of the day, the clouds began to break up and the rain stopped. The sun broke through and the charade players went outside. The ground was soaked and the sports field looked muddy. "Nobody is to leave until you've eaten our biscuits," Margaret said. "They're delicious." "That's right," Einstein added. "Those biscuits are the best I ever baked." "Who ever ever baked?" asked Margaret with that look in her eyes. "We ever baked," Einstein said with a laugh. They went over to the table, but the biscuits were gone. Nothing lay beneath the plastic sheet except a few crumbs. "Who took the biscuits?" said Einstein. He looked at Pat and Herman, who were standing near the table, trying not to laugh. "Did you take them, Pat?" Einstein asked. "Who? Me?" Pat said with an innocent face. "Not a chance. Do you know who took them, Herman?" "Sure," Herman answered. "I saw who took them. It was a bear that came out of the woods. Pat and I were staying under the trees during the rain. You couldn't see a thing. It was so dark. I heard this loud crash of thunder and turned in time to see a bolt of lightning strike a tree across the lake. I saw the bear taking the biscuits during the lightning flash. Then it got dark again and I didn't see where it went." "I don't believe you," Margaret said. "You took those biscuits and hid them somewhere." "I don't care what you believe," Pat said. "I saw the same thing Herman saw, and you or Einstein can't prove I didn't." "Oh, yes, I can," Einstein said. "You and Herman are lying." Aha! Last problem to solve. Can you solve the puzzle? How can Einstein prove that Herman and Pat were lying? I think it's something to do with the thunder and lightning, do you? "Don't try to tell me you saw us take the biscuits," Pat said. I didn't see you take the biscuits," Einstein said, "but I know you're not telling the truth about seeing the bear take them." "How do you know that?" Pat demanded. "I have to explain a little science for you to understand," Einstein said. "You see, a flash of lightning travels at the speed of light, about 299,000 kilometres per second. It would travel the distance across the lake in just a tiny fraction of a second." "So what?" said Herman. "Just pay attention and you'll see," answered Einstein. "Light travels fast, but sound travels much more slowly, only 335 metres a second. That means that the sound of thunder would take about 3 seconds to travel across the lake." Margaret nodded. "You're right, Einstein. Now I see it." Pat shook his head. "I don't see what lightning and thunder have to do with the biscuits," he complained. "Just this," Einstein said. "Herman said that he heard a crash of thunder and turned just in time to see a flash of lightning strike a tree across the lake. But that's impossible. Herman couldn't have heard the thunder until 3 seconds after he saw the lightning. He must have been lying about seeing the bear take the biscuits in the flash of lightning. Maybe these bear facts will enlighten him." Bear, as in there's 2 bears, a bear and a bear. You could have a bear, ooh, with no fur. Okay. The end of Einstein Anderson. The end. Okay, good-o. So it is still time for toilet, teeth, bed. Don't forget the light.